So in other words, they were a program multiple.
Many of them, yeah.
This may be graphic, folks.
It was made out of human skulls.
Why didn't the news talk about this? How old is the baby usually when they start the programming?
This is a breeding project, just like the Nazis in the mass race. Right.
And so it's a demon seed.
If I push hard enough, I can penetrate the skin and cut.
I want to ask you about Jeffrey Dahmer. I want to ask you about Jeffrey Dahmer. Everybody out there knows about Jeffrey. Yeah. You told me something about Jeffrey Dahmer that just about floored me. Would you share that with the audience?
Sure. I've seen all the stories, documentaries that came out, and read things. But because being in part of law enforcement and inside, we were in a Def Tech training center on advanced occult crimes, and law enforcement people brought in the pictures of Jeffrey's apartment. So we all know about the crimes and the sexual, perverted things and eating people and killing people and all that.
Right.
What they didn't tell you, because I don't think they understood what it all meant. What they didn't tell you is, number one, Jeffrey Dahmer was satanic ritually abused. He had multiple personalities.
Wow.
In his apartment, he had a satanic altar built out of human thigh bones.
Wow.
He had a triangle-shaped power cone. They summoned demons to bring the demons in. It was made out of human skulls.
Why didn't the news talk about this? Why wasn't this center point of everything?
We can say on the one side, there's no question Satan and his side wants to keep that downplayed anyway. Anybody part of that. They don't want that out. Second thing would be, it's true in law enforcement and it's true in media. They don't have the grid map. They don't.
Yeah.
What does this skull mean? What is this?
They don't have the mind of Christ, right?
Right.
You have the mind of Christ. We're not putting them down. It's just then they don't approach it from that.
Right. So when I say forensic psychology, I'm including biblical content, the Spirit of God's guidance, intertwined with the investigative, factual, forensic facts of a case. What goes to motivate? Why did Jeffrey Dahmer kill those people? There's a satanic, motivated side for powers. Satanic were other parts of him that had been through abuse himself.
Right.
Demons operating in him. Was all a part of that.
But I saw his mother and father on the news. Mm-hmm. I mean, they looked like a couple of school teachers. Mm-hmm. I mean, how could that happen?
In all the cases of satanic, and we've dealt with hundreds of cases, when we engage the family side, usually the mom and dads will look like good, but it's the Ezekiel 8, chapter 8 thing.
Right.
The perpetrators in Ezekiel 8 for the underground Luciferian, child-sacrificing coven underneath the temple hidden. Who was leading it? God led him, the 70 elders of Israel. The top political and religious leaders, by day, were the fake. By night, they were their real thing.
Wow.
So it's a methodology in Luciferianism, the real stuff, to where publicly they're to be a part of it. They're like community leader. They're going to be community leaders. They're going to be all over the place. I've never met in satanic ritual abuse victims whose parents and family structures were not a part of some kind of church.
Wow.
They're all there as a cover.
So in other words, they were a program multiple.
Many of them, yeah.
So now I don't want to put words in your mouth, and I'm just using this as an example. Jeffrey Dahmer's mother could have been a program multiple. She was programmed to program him.
You're right, because when we've engaged this for all these years, the first generation of these who had babies and children, and then the second and third. So the truth is, we should be looking at every single satanic ritually abused person will normally have a mother and or father that are not only part of the coven group, but most likely one of them will be multiple themselves.
Yeah.
And it's handed down, the whole thing, you don't catch it, but it's handed down through the trauma, through the spiritual dark side's design to create another one in the same way.
How, this may be graphic, folks, but how do they take a baby? How old is the baby usually when they start the programming?
Well, it gets deeper and deeper. It occurs even before the people
Even before they're born?
Yeah, it's by spiritual. The people doing the birthing or creating a new child have to be already demonized and prepared.
Okay.
And so normally, so they're going to be actually there. This is a breeding project, just like the Nazis in the mass race. They're going to go together. They believe, whether we want to, they believe when they actually come together, there's a sex ritual,
Okay.
releasing demons into the process,
Okay.
into the womb. They have rituals to summon or release demons even then.
Okay, let me see if I can clarify this. A man and woman gets together, they have a sexual encounter for the purpose of creating a program multiple because they're both demonic.
Right.
And so it's a demon seed.
Right. Right. And their goal is they want to create a really altered, in their view. Now we look at it as bad. They look at it as we're going to create a superior human, a powerful human, a human that's more enhanced. They'll have more abilities, multiple abilities, programming, demon abilities, supernatural abilities.
This is where you took me back to Germany back in the 30s. The Germans, Hitler, wanted to create the ultimate race.
Right.
Same demonic presence.
Same concept.
Okay, so now she's pregnant. She has the baby, and it's a little baby.
Yeah.
What do they do? What's some of the things they start to do to this baby to program it?
Sure. In a ritualistic, setting, they will cause trauma, pain. The pain will be mental, physical, emotional. Dissociation, we all understand that we daydream a little bit. Dissociation pushes the mind, the personality, pushes the mind further and further and further until they want it to snap. They want through pain, mental, emotional, physical, they want the personality to split. And they also want demonic presence to come in, and then this new part of that personality, they want to begin to, well, you're going to be a priestess, or you're going to be a runner, or you're going to be a fighter, or you're going to be a shooter. Whatever they want the first one, and then a second, and then a third, and then a fifth, and then a 50th. There could be dozens of sub-personalities.
So when they inflict pain, can you give me an example of what kind of pain? What do they do? I don't mean to be gross, folks, but we need to hear this, and we need to understand it.
Sure. It can be an intense sexual pain for boys and girls.
For a little baby.
Sure. Cutting. In some cases, we can get into, it gets very sophisticated. They can go into blue light, using drugs to help create pliability. Anything that will cause the personality to be pliable. They know that trauma, pain, whatever, in a ritual, on the physical body to cause pain.
Right.
I was telling somebody yesterday about the little girl. She had 47 stab wounds in her feet, both feet together. They did that to cause dissociation. They did that, so it could be a sexual thing. It could be a physical thing. Anything to create intense pain, intense mental, emotional pain, to force them into dissociating, going off. But then they want them to go not just a little bit off. They want to cause, just like your skin. I could push, nothing's happening. I could push. But if I push hard with something, if I push hard enough, I can penetrate the skin and cut. That's what they're doing to the personality.
Okay, so we talked about them having babies for this, but could it be a lot of the children that come up missing in human trafficking?
Yeah.
Could these children be used? Are they used for these program multiples?
There's cases that we know that they've been created for that. Even Himmler stole Polish children, thousands of them, to bring them into the program.
Okay, so all these children that come up missing, you never find them again. They could be used as a program multiple, and they change their name.
Sure.
So they're still walking around. Mary is now Annie, right?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
How many are there program multiples around us now?
Here's our research. We're talking over almost 4 decades of purposely going after it. They're in schools, they're in churches, they're in law enforcement, they're in universities, they're in government, by design, by placement.
Wow.
They're there.
Okay, so you had mentioned that, and I'll go ahead and say it, but there was a PTL, big organization many years ago, that was brought down by a woman, Jessica Hahn. you told me that you thought she was a program multiple.
Yeah, learning what we've learned through the years, and I went back over that, but that case bugged me. That whole thing, oh, of course, it bugged everybody. But what we learned about infiltration, that it all began in the early 70s on a nationwide basis. These undergrounders, Luciferian, they began to send programmed. They could have, David, they could have personalities that are trained for one thing: sex, so that the sex part of them would come up to go after pastors, deacons,
Right.
to bring corruption, to bring people down.
Right.
So they really are like a satanic warrior being sent in, and they can look very normal. And Jeffrey Dahmer looked very kind of normal in a sense.
Right.
But if he switches to the personalities that can abduct and kill and drill holes in the head, that's another story.
But what you're saying is this girl, Jessica Hahn, if she's a program multiple, she was programmed to go out and intentionally take down pastors.
Right.
And she did. I think it was it Jimmy Swaggart? And
Well, there were some that were sent there too, but specifically with Jim Baker.
Jim Baker, yeah.
And I've wanted to for years. I told somebody that just went to him lately, I want to tell him corruption's bad enough, or Christians who fall is bad enough.
Yeah,
that's a stumbling thing. They fall. Praise God, they repent and so forth.
Right.
But I do believe, knowing what we know about how the dark side targets churches or targets ministries and sends programmed folks in, and that includes doing spiritual warfare against the local places,
Absolutely.
doing rituals against the places. They may send, and I believe they send in folks that were geared to bring down the leadership to help bring it all down.
After
Corrupt it.
talking to you, I'm convinced half the people that I've been dealing with that I think are demonic are actually program multiples. Well,
It's very close. I mean, we need to learn the difference between a program part of because there's millions of them now. I mean,
Right.
That's. I mean, we have so much. We're dealing. We have such. There's so much information needs to come out about this, but demonization. The body of Christ should be at the cutting edge. We should be the ones dealing with all of it.
absolutely.
Okay? All of it. We're the
Absolutely.
ones that we should be cutting edge and all that. But when you have demon possession included in a cult-oriented, splitting, mind control, creating, including demons, then it's more complex, more dangerous.
Russ, when we come back, I want to ask you if there's people out there that are they think they're dealing with a program multiple, or even themselves may be a program multiple after hearing this. What do they do about it? What do you do about it? What do we do about it? I want to talk about that because, you said earlier that he who is in you, which is God, is much more powerful than he who is in the world.
Sure.
Correct? So
Absolutely.
I want to find out. We're gonna
Absolutely.
unleash the power of God in this next interview.
Has to be.
Hey, thanks everybody for being with us, and join us in the next segment right here on the Supernatural channel on davidheavener.tv.